So students, already we have discussed about how we can isolate the DNA from a cell, and now we are going to discuss about certain enzymes which are required for the recombinant DNA technology. Clear? In this video we will discuss certain enzymes, about certain enzymes which are required for the recombinant DNA technology. So we know that restriction endonuclease is one of the most crucial enzyme, clear, which is required for cutting the DNA. It is also called molecular scissor, and there are other enzymes also, the DNA ligase to rejoin them or join them, the DNA fragments. There are alkaline phosphatase to keep the DNA fragments not to form a circular DNA fragment, to keep their two ends apart. So all these enzymes will be discussed today. So students, today we are going to discuss about a very crucial part of the molecular basis of biotechnology, that is the restriction enzyme. Now restriction enzyme, it was first discovered by Arber, clear, and these restriction enzyme, they are called molecular scissors. They cut DNA at specific site, and they have two functions. One is, first of all, they recognize a specific sequence in the DNA, and then they cut that specific sequence. So restriction endonuclease first recognizes a specific sequence, and then they cut the specific sequence. Now each of the restriction endonuclease have specific sequence. About 900 restriction endonucleases are known today, and it has been isolated from 300 bacteria, and each has its own specific sequence where it will cut. Now, two types of enzymes are basically isolated from bacteria. They are methylase and restriction endonuclease. Now what happens? Why this restriction endonuclease is so named? Because in bacteria, when the bacteriophage attacks, it inserts its DNA within the bacteria, and this DNA gets incorporated with the bacterial DNA, and finally it regulates the bacterial DNA to form the viral proteins and nucleic acids. Now to protect, and finally what happens when the numerous viruses are formed, these cells, they get lysate of the cells, and these viruses comes out. So to protect themselves from the invasion of the bacteriophage, these bacteria, they produces a set of enzymes which are called restriction endonuclease. What they do, they cut the viral DNA at a specific site and thus inactivate the viral DNA. So cut the viral DNA at specific sites and finally inactivate the viral DNA, and thus they helps to restore themselves. Now what is for methylase? Now when they are producing a restriction endonuclease, suppose this is the site of the restriction endonuclease and which it will cut, but that site may be present in the bacterial DNA also. So to protect their own bacterial DNA having the same sites, clear, same sequences, they produces the enzyme called methylase. Methylase, they form a methylation of this this particular sequence, protect the particular sequence from the functioning of the restriction endonuclease, because the restriction endonuclease cannot recognize the methylated site, clear, and as a result it cuts the viral DNA but does not affect the bacterial DNA. So to restrict the functioning of the bacteriophage, these set of enzymes have been formed, and that is why they are called restriction endonuclease. So next we will go for naming of the restriction endonuclease. We have learned that about 900 restriction endonuclease has been isolated, and that is from the 300 bacteria. So there must be some specific naming pattern so that we can identify each of them. Now what is the naming pattern? So suppose, let us take an example of EcoR1. So EcoR1 is a restriction endonuclease. Now how the naming is done? The first alphabet of the name, clear, EcoR1, is coming from the genus name of the bacteria, that is where from it is isolated. It has been isolated from Escherichia coli. So the first E comes from the genus name Escherichia. Escherichia is the E from the Escherichia is the first E. Then the CO, the specific name of the bacteria wherefrom it has been isolated is coli. So therefrom the first two alphabets of the specific name, that is CO, is being introduced in the name as ECO. Then the strain. Now Escherichia coli have various strains. Now that specific strain, that is RY13, is the strain wherefrom it has been isolated. So therefrom the next alphabet R came. And finally Roman 1. This is about the sequence at which it has been isolated from this particular bacteria with this specific strain, because this is the first restriction endonuclease that has been isolated from this particular bacteria Escherichia coli with RY13. So this the Roman 1 is the sequence of isolation. So EcoR1 is the name, thus it came from the bacteria with the enzyme restriction endonuclease which has been isolated from the Escherichia coli RY13, and this is the first enzyme to be isolated. So I think you have easily understood the naming process. Now we will go to the functioning of the restriction endonuclease, because it's a very vital enzyme for the recombinant DNA technology. Now already we have discussed that restriction endonuclease cut the DNA at specific site. Clear? Now this is called recognition site. So that particular specific site where a restriction endonuclease cut the DNA is called its recognition site. Now this recognition site have some characters. What are they? Number one, it should be a palindrome. We know what is palindrome. Palindrome is the mirror image. If we go on for Malayalam, we can easily find out what is palindrome. M-A-L-A-Y-A-L-A-M. So M-A-L-A, this one, and this one is the mirror image. So palindrome is the mirror image of a particular set of letters. Now in DNA, the mirror image is present in complementary strands. In DNA, the mirror image is present in the complementary strands. So suppose this is this recognition site for EcoR1. So what it is? GAATTC. So the strand having, so the strands with 5' to 3', running 5' to 3' is having GAATTC. Now what will be the complementary strand? The complementary strand is 3' to 5', and that is having CTTAAG. So GAATTC, the CTTAAG, these two are the mirror image. So here the mirror image is present in between the two strands. Clear? The complementary base pairs of the two strands. And the restriction endonuclease cut at between the specific base pairs. So here EcoR1 will cut between G and A. Clear? It cuts between the specific base pairs, like here G and A. So here it will cut. So they cut at with a specific site in the recognition site at a specific in between the specific base pairs. So when they cut the DNA at a specific base pair in the recognition site, the strands are broken. Clear? And that is why it is called molecular scissor. It cuts the strands of DNA. Now according to the site where it cuts, clear that we can divide it into exonuclease and endonuclease. Some of the restriction endonuclease cuts at the within the intermediate position of the DNA, we call them endonuclease. Some of them cuts at the terminal end of DNA, then we call it exonuclease. So according to the location, we can have two types of restriction nuclease. One is the endonuclease cutting DNA at intermediate position. Other is the exonuclease cutting DNA at the terminal position. Now another thing is there, the recognition site, that means the site which the restriction nuclease recognizes and cuts. This is generally 6 base pair long, and when they cut, they may produce either sticky end which may complementary to each other, or they may produce a staggered or blunt ends. So when they cut, they may produce sticky ends which are complementary to each other, or they may produce staggered or blunt ends. So let us now see how a restriction nuclease produces a sticky end. So this is the site where ECO-R1 cuts and ECO-R1 produces a sticky end. So let us see, this is GAATTC and this is CTTAAG, palindrome recognition site of the ECO-R1, and ECO-R1 is supposed to cut in between the G and A. So in this strand, it will cut between G and A, and as a result, we will left out with the G with this part, and we will left out with the CTTAA in this part. Clear? So you can see here G, this portion has been cut, so we are left out with G here, and we are left out with AATTC here. Again, now if we go on for the complementary strand, what we'll find, it is cutting at this between G and A. So here we will find that this end will have only left out with only G, and this end will be left out with AATTC. So this AATTC and this AATTC, you can see this is the 3' end and this is the 5' end, and this is the 5' end. Here A is in the 5' end. Clear? And here C is at the 5' end. So T is there in the 5' end. So this is at the A is at the 5' end, and here T is at the 3' end. So it may easily form the complementary base pairs. Clear? By forming hydrogen bond, they can join. So now, what we see, that they are first breaking the phosphodiester bond, clear, in between G and A in both the strands, and then next the hydrogen bonds are being broken down, and finally they are left out with 2 sticky ends. Now what will happen when same restriction endonuclease will be used, and if we cut the vector, that means which is carrying the DNA and the desired DNA, so then also we will get these type of sticky ends. So by this type of sticky ends, as they can form complementary base pairs, we can easily join the vector with the desired DNA, so that this vector may carry this desired DNA to our host cells. So here we are just having a recap, that is the recognition site of ECO-R1 is this one, GAATTC and CTTAAG in between the complementary DNA strands. And now ECO-R1 cuts in between G and A. It breaks the phosphodiester bond which is present in between G and A. So here it will break here, and here in this strand it will break here. And finally in this strand we will left out with G here and AATTC here, and in this strand we will left out with G here and the AATTC here, and this AATTC and this CTTAA can form the complementary base pairs. So this can form the complementary base pairs, that is TTAA, and here also AATT can easily form a complementary base pair. So when we cut the vector with the restriction endonuclease, and same restriction endonuclease is used for cutting the desired DNA, we will have this type of complementary base pair by which they can join by forming the hydrogen bonds. So we can find here it cut the opposite strands of DNA in the sugar phosphate backbone a little away from the center of the palindrome sites, but between the same bases of the in both the strands. And so now they can join. Finally, the sticky ends can join, and that is why it is also called the molecular scalpels. They are called molecular scissors. Now, another type of restriction in nucleus, like SMA1, can cut the bonds, clear the phosphodiester bond, and so this is having CCC GGG and GGG CCC. This is the complementary strands with having the recognition sequence of SMA1, and here it is cutting in between C and G, and thus it is forming an end where there is no this left out part like this. Clear? So it is cutting only the phosphodiester bond and it is forming the blunt end. This is called blunt end cut or staggered end cut, and this can be joined again by forming the cohesive strands of poly A, poly T, or they may form the get attached to sticky ends, and likewise. Now how to join this? Who will join this? These two strands will be joined by, DNA ligase. So when you are cutting the vector with a restriction in the nucleus, and you are cutting the desired DNA also with that particular restriction in the nucleus, it will produce a sticky end. Clear? And that will be joined by, these two sticky ends will be further joined by the DNA ligase. So DNA ligase is there to join the sticky end and forming a unified DNA. So here you can see this is the vector DNA and the foreign DNA, and they are used to cut. They are cut by EcoR1, and finally they are rejoining, clear, to form a united one. So this is recombinant DNA. Another enzyme which is also used in this purpose is the alkaline phosphatase. Now, alkaline phosphatase, what is the function of alkaline phosphatase? The function of alkaline phosphatase is to remove the phosphate from the, when we cut DNA with the, suppose we are cutting the vector, the plasmid with restriction in nucleus. Now, if we cut this plasmid with a restriction in nucleus and if we keep it free, then what will happen? The 5' end will have the phosphate and the 3' end is having hydroxyl group. So these phosphate will again try to react with the hydroxyl group, and that will form the, of the 3' end, and it will form the phosphodiester bond. So if we keep it like this, so it will go on forming rejoining and forming a circular DNA. So there you can't insert the desired DNA. So what we have to do, we have to keep it linear in order to insert the desired DNA. So what we can do, we can use alkaline phosphatase. It will remove the phosphate from this 5' end. So 5' end cannot any further form a phosphodiester bond with the hydroxyl group of the 3' end. And as a result, what will happen? This 3' end of the hydroxyl group of the 3' end will remain free, and the insert DNA which we want to insert, the phosphate bond of this 5' end of this the DNA, the foreign DNA or of DNA of our interest, can form a phosphodiester bond with the 3' hydroxyl group of the 3' end of the vector DNA, and finally if we insert phosphate group in this 5' end, they can ultimately form a circular DNA where the vector is having the DNA of a desired DNA. Clear? So it is now a recombinant one having the desired DNA. So alkaline phosphatase is used to keep this linear until and unless or prevents the bonding of the 5' end with the 3' end until and unless the DNA of our interest has been inserted in the vector. We also require DNA polymerase, clear, during the amplification of the DNA, because a single segment of desired DNA will not work, we have to produce numerous DNA of our desired DNA for our functioning. So there we won't need DNA polymerase, and there we need a special DNA polymerase obtained from Thermus aquaticus, which grows in the bacteria which grows in the hot spring, for the amplification of the DNA of our interest. And we also require various phosphorylases, and so these are the enzymes which we require in the recombinant DNA technology, as well as the lytic enzymes for breakdown of various cellular parts, and finally to reach and isolate the pure DNA.